Welcome. If you're looking to get a solid handle on complex brain stuff efficiently, you're in the right place.
hmm
Today we're diving into excitotoxicity. You might hear this term thrown around with brain health, maybe injury or disease.
Right. It's a really key mechanism behind neuronal damage.
So our mission here is simple.
Hmm.
Pull out the core understanding of excitotoxicity. Make it clear, make it relevant, based on the questions you likely have.
Exactly. Let's get straight to how this overstimulation of neurons actually causes problems.
Okay, sounds good. So first off, what is excitotoxicity, just in simple terms, and how does it actually damage brain cells?
Okay, think of it like this. Neurons are being pushed way too hard by their signaling chemicals, their neurotransmitters. Specifically, glutamate is a big one here.
It's too hard.
Yeah, this really intense stimulation causes a flood of calcium ions into the neuron.
Calcium, isn't that usually important for cells?
It absolutely is for normal signaling. But this is like a tidal wave, way too much. And this calcium overload, well, it kicks off a whole cascade of damaging events inside the cell.
A cascade? Okay, like what kind of events?
It activates enzymes that literally start breaking down parts of the neuron, its structure.
Wow.
It also leads to the production of harmful molecules called free radicals that causes oxidative stress, and ultimately it can push the neuron towards cell death.
Okay, so you mentioned glutamate. Is that the main chemical causing this, or are there others involved?
Glutamate is definitely the primary driver. It's the brain's main go signal, the main excitatory neurotransmitter.
Got it.
While other excitatory ones exist, glutamate's role and, frankly, its sheer abundance make it the central player in this kind of overstimulation problem.
That makes sense. So how does this whole process connect to something really serious, like a stroke or a traumatic brain injury, a TBI?
Ah, yeah, that's a critical link.
Yeah.
In a stroke, you get a blockage of blood flow. This damages neurons, right?
Right, lack of oxygen.
Exactly. And those damaged neurons release a massive amount of glutamate. This spills out and overstimulates the nearby, otherwise healthy neurons.
Ah, so it spreads the damage.
Precisely. That's excitotoxicity causing secondary injury. And with TBI, the physical trauma itself can also trigger a very similar harmful release of glutamate and kick off that same excitotoxic cascade.
So the brain isn't just helpless here, is it? Does it have ways to, protect itself?
It does, thankfully.
Yeah.
It has built-in mechanisms. For instance, there are glutamate transporters. Think of them like little vacuum cleaners in the synapses, the gaps between neurons.
Okay.
Their job is to quickly clear out excess glutamate to keep signaling levels normal. Plus, you have inhibitory neurotransmitters, the brain's stop signals, working to balance out the excitation.
That's good to know there's a balance. Given how damaging this can be, are people working on drugs or treatments?
Oh, absolutely. It's a major focus for research precisely because it's involved in stroke, TBI, neurodegenerative diseases.
Right.
So scientists are actively exploring different angles. Things like drugs that could block those glutamate receptors so they can't get overstimulated, or maybe drugs that reduce how much calcium floods into the cell. It's a very active field.
How do they even study this? Like, how do they measure excitotoxicity in the lab?
Good question. Often they use animal models where they can simulate conditions like stroke or injury. Then they can directly measure things like glutamate levels in the brain tissue, track the calcium influx into neurons, and count how many neurons actually die or get damaged. This helps test if potential drugs are working.
You mentioned oxidative stress earlier. Can you remind me how that connects again?
Yeah, they're tightly linked. The chaos caused by excitotoxicity, the calcium overload, those enzymes getting activated actually ramps up the production of those damaging free radicals I mentioned. And that increase in free radicals is oxidative stress, which adds another layer of damage to the neurons. Becomes a kind of vicious cycle.
So damage happens, but can the brain bounce back at all? Does something like neuroplasticity help counter this?
That's really the million-dollar question about recovery, isn't it? Neuroplasticity, the brain's amazing ability to reorganize, form new connections, is thought to be crucial. After an injury involving excitotoxicity, surviving neurons might be able to sort of reroute signals, compensate for the lost function by building new pathways. It's key to functional recovery.
Is there any way to tell if this is happening early on? Like, are there biomarkers?
That's another big research area, finding early warning signs. Scientists are hunting for specific molecules in, say, blood or spinal fluid, or maybe changes visible through advanced brain imaging that could signal excitotoxicity is kicking off.
Why is that important?
Well, if you could detect it early, you might be able to intervene much sooner and potentially limit the damage.
Makes sense. One last thing, can our lifestyle, like diet, affect how vulnerable we might be to this?
There's definitely growing interest there. Evidence suggests things like chronic inflammation, maybe certain dietary patterns or imbalances, could potentially influence how susceptible the brain is to excitotoxic damage.
Interesting. So maybe lifestyle choices could offer some protection.
It hints at that possibility, yeah. Maybe supporting overall brain health through diet and lifestyle could make it more resilient. It's an area needing more research, but it's promising.
Okay, so wrapping this up, the core idea is that excitotoxicity is essentially brain cells getting overexcited, mainly by glutamate, leading to this harmful calcium overload and damage. It's a big factor in brain injuries and diseases.
Exactly. And while the brain has defenses, like those transporters and inhibitory signals, sometimes they're overwhelmed. That's why finding treatments is so important.
It really highlights that delicate balance the brain maintains, doesn't it? Between excitation, the go signals, and inhibition, the stop signals.
Absolutely crucial for healthy function.
And understanding how something like excitotoxicity throws off that balance, well, it just underscores how complex our brains are. It makes you think, doesn't it, about how future therapies might aim to restore that balance to protect our neurological health. Just consider that incredible balancing act for a moment.